Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our New Mobility Talk at the IAA 2017 in Frankfurt. We are talking about new mobility concepts, but we should not only talk about saturated markets like Germany or the US, we should also talk about international markets. And I have the pleasure of having three guests here from the Mexican market. And to start the talk, I would like to introduce them to you. It is, first of all, welcome, Mr. Andres Lesch from EY in Mexico.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to you as well, Marcellus Eck. You are responsible of the EY German Business Center in Mexico City.
Good afternoon.
And last but not least, welcome to you as well, Dr. Raul Meyer from EY in Mexico as well.
Thank you very much.
So, everybody here at the IAA is talking about a new mobility concept, new cars. The latest cars are exposed here. Behind us we see a concept car of Rinspeed that EY also contributed to and has been cooperating with. When we're talking about these new concepts, we are usually talking about the latest technologies for saturated markets. But what about markets like Mexico, Mr. Lesch? Is that interesting to your or the final customers in Mexico as well, or do you have completely other needs that need to be fulfilled by the automotive industry?
No, for sure. Mexico City is one of the largest cities in the world. We have 25 million people, and definitely we are open to new technologies, to the latest technologies, and of course we have the need of having this type of cars, this type of services that can be delivered through these cars.
But how about the capabilities of a market to adapt to those technologies? Because it is not only the car which needs to adapt to the customer, but the infrastructure, for example, of an entire city needs to be prepared for such technologies. Is Mexico ready for that already, Dr. Meyer?
I would say not yet, but we're actually talking then to the local major and then trying to get the infrastructure then set up to have this kind of mobility concepts, to have the electrification, to have then, if you want, the charging stations. And it is coming slowly, but it is happening. And we think that in the next 3 to 5 years, we will be at the same level as the cities in Europe. Definitely.
You are at EY, you are supporting your customers, the car manufacturers, the suppliers, the service providers, with consulting help to come to the next level of mobility, as long as we're talking about in automotive topics. What are the major questions that companies are placing to you? What are the concerns when talking about future mobility in Mexico nowadays?
Yeah, one important topic that we are discussing with our clients is, of course, the topic on logistics, and also the connection with the US. You might know that there is a new president in the US, and that makes our clients rather nervous. But the thing is, of course, the NAFTA agreement is still in place, and that means that there's a lot of necessity for roads and logistic possibilities to bring all the stuff to the US or to other markets in the world, and that is one of the main questions that we are actually getting from our clients.
Companies in emerging markets do have other topics they are discussing about. They are talking about building up factories, they are talking about workforce, the quality of the workforce and stuff like that. When we're talking about autonomous driving, for example, these are completely different topics. Is that already part of the day-by-day business in Mexico, for example, or do you still need to teach those topics to your customers?
I'd say that we still need to teach those topics. However, it is important to mention that there are mergers between the government, private companies, consulting companies, educational companies, universities, to educate or to help educate people with that. Let me tell you that we are part of one of those associations, and we are starting to do pilot testing within small neighborhoods with autonomous driving, with electric driving, with electric sources to charge the car. So it is starting. It's going to be a long journey, but the most important thing to deal with now is infrastructure. So people are ready, people are willing to test new technologies. However, and you mentioned it, we need to build more infrastructure, not only for this type of technology cars, but also for new investments, because we as a country, we're still receiving a lot of investors. However, the infrastructure is going to be a big concern in the future. If we are not well prepared, the investors are going to stop coming to the country.
There is one funny story going on here in Germany when we're, for example, in the media talking about autonomous driving, new mobility, digitalization of the society. Some people are already joking about that. In some areas, we don't have, for example, a proper internet coverage, or only very poor cell phone coverage. So, how can we talk about the future of autonomous driving or the future of the car when we still don't have those prerequisites installed in Germany? I guess that in emerging markets like in Mexico, this is an issue as well, right? So how will you overcome this important step, this prerequisite to do those or to implement those technologies into the market?
I think there is definitely an issue. I mean, it's. I do think that, for example, Mexico City does have a very good standard of internet, of mobile communication, and everything. But when you look at the potholes, when you look at all those problems, when you look at the signaling systems, they're just not there. So I mean, something has to be done before autonomous driving happens. I mean, when we talk about electrification, I mean, if you want the variety of cars, the number of brands being sold in Mexico is even more extensive than in Germany. So, and BMW is actually selling pretty well their electric cars, and Mercedes-Benz just started with the EQ and so on and so on. So you've got quite a lot of those offerings, but still, coming back to the same point, the charging stations, the internet and whatever, we're certainly at least 5 years behind, and something has to be done. And there is something that has already happened in the market. There's a lot of regulation going on in the telecom industry, because it was almost a monopoly, and now there are more players in the market.
How is the final customer in Mexico looking upon those car shows like this here in Frankfurt? Is that something he's interested in? Is that something he finds interesting, things he wishes to have for his own usage? Or is that something which is very far away from his day-by-day needs?
Now, I do believe, especially looking at the concepts which are presented here, there's a lot of topics like the mobility. I do believe that every Mexican would like to have those possibilities ASAP in their country. So I do believe that there is a lot of interest in what's happening here, and we also see it because also we have met here on the International Automotive Show also some representatives of the press, and it means that, yeah, of course, the people are very interested in what's going on, and I do believe that is actually something that they see now here as a future, maybe in within 5 years, coming back to which might come back to Mexico as in the foreseeable future. Yeah?
So you think, Mr. Lesch, it is truly a worldwide topic? These things like connected driving, like autonomous driving, is that a worldwide trend?
Of course, it's a worldwide topic. However, the speed, if you will, is not the same. We are going to enter to this type of technologies and markets a little bit slower than developed countries, but yes, definitely, all the people who have access to a car or a new car are aware of this type of technologies, and they are willing to have them. However, we know, the population knows that it's going to take a little longer.
And we hope that it will not be too long, so that the marketplace will have those new technologies available also in Mexico. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for coming over to Germany to discuss with us. And thank you for watching, and see you in the next New Mobility Talk.